Okay, good afternoon. It's January the 19th on a cold day. What is it, about 15 degrees outside when we started, but I'm here with good friends of mine we just talked about it before we started, probably really good friends since junior high on. So you guys have been out of school going on 36 years.
Yeah.
So it's 36, 40, over 40 years now. We've been really, really good friends. Now, obviously, we've grown apart a little because we had families, we had careers, but we've always somewhat kept in contact. Now, Tim moved, I'm not going to say where, he kind of moved a little further away. I would see Coach Derek Bailey on your left with the New Haven Shamrocks shirt. That's Derek, because most people are like, who's who? When they were young, Derek combed his hair back and Tim combed his hair forward, and that's how a lot of people could tell. But obviously, if you hung around him, you knew him. I mean, I didn't have any problem from little on because I saw you guys all the time. But what we're going to do is we're going to talk about our childhood, kind of how we got to where we are today, and then we're going to talk about the 1989 New Haven Shamrocks Running Rock team. And I tell everyone that, and Derek will agree, I don't know so much Tim, people still talk about that team and how much they enjoyed us or watching us play because we like to run, and it was a fun time. Of the two teams I was on of varsity, I still say that was the better team. It's just, we ran into Clopton that year, and we'll build into that, and they beat us by 3 at the end of the first game out of district, and they ended up getting second in state to Scott County then. So, but we're going to work into that, and I brought something for Derek and Tim, and people that know me, I think Dawn said, Lucille thought the world of you. I thought the world of Lucille. That was their mother, passed away a few years ago. But when I'd go over there, they would always have Kool-Aid. And another thing I remember too, she had that Jello cake she always made. You remember that?
Yeah.
With the whipped cream on top? It was so good. So she always had Kool-Aid, and then she always made it in a gallon jug. And so I sent a message I was going to try to surprise these two today, but I couldn't get into school here. So I made it, and she always said that she's got it from Sister Vera, that she always put lemonade in there, which I did not know that. I thought it was straight up cherry. So I actually brought it here, and this is going to be kind of I'm going to cut in front of the screen here. We're going to distribute some. I'm going to show you the jug right here. As you can see, it came in a Milo's thing, but it's not Milo's tea. So I'm going to divvy this up first so we have something to drink here. And we'll maybe make a cheer. Can we make a cheer to Mom?
Sure,
Just say,
yeah.
hey, hope you're doing well in heaven, Mom, or something like that.
Yeah.
She always was very nice to me, and I was thinking today when I was doing this, how many hands of spades did we play in the kitchen listening to Al Green? Because that was her man, Al Green.
Yeah.
So let's just make a toast to Mom Lucille.
Yeah.
Hope she's doing well up there.
Yeah.
So I got a product endorsement too. I guess hope you guys can still hear me. Because I always do these, and Tim and Derek think I'm crazy, but I try to help out local businesses when I can. And I've had these before, and they're going to pass because they're not carnivore like I am. They're probably more omnivore or even herbivore.
Yeah.
But are you a vegetarian now?
No, I still eat.
Okay.
meat.
So this is from a local company. If you have a chance to support them, I always try to do this. Gonna give them a free plug. I used to work with a guy at MoDOT. His name's John Schneider and his wife Cheryl. But they make these, and you can get them at a few places. I actually picked some up in Herman, so they're really good. So if you hear me snacking on something in the background, because it's about lunchtime. It's 11, well, probably 11:30 now, somewhere in there. So almost 12. So let's get started here. As I sit down and take a drink of my. Have you tried it? Did I do okay?
Yeah, it's good. Pretty spot on.
Is it close? I mean, this is the best I could do.
Yeah.
So,
Key is getting enough sugar in it.
yeah. I don't think, it probably could use a little more meat taste, but if you guys say it's close, it's close.
Close enough.
So we all grew up in New Haven. I'm going to tell you where they grew up on Kemp Street, which is down by Olive. And initially, to me, I started at Walt's Apartments. Walter Bookhill's up here. And then we moved down to, I was little, but then we moved down to First Street on House on Olive. And I don't remember which time we moved to the second house on Olive. But as we talked about earlier, I can remember my father, CD Dan as some people call him, brought a basketball goal home, and we would have moved out of that house when I was in 4th grade. So this was 2nd, 3rd, maybe somewhere around there. He brought a basketball goal home, and it was a portable one, but he brought sandbags to keep it in place. Now, if the wind blew, obviously it'd blow over.
Yeah.
But that was really my first experience actually playing basketball, other than maybe PE. And I distinctly remember, maybe a little later on, you guys had one below your house attached to a tree.
Yeah.
Is that something that mom, brothers, or was that on someone else's property, or?
No, that's it. Down the backyard of Mom's old house was split by like a little creek.
I remember
a little
that.
ditch. And on the other side of that creek was a flat area, and it had a walnut tree.
Yeah.
It was a walnut tree that was almost straight up and down.
I remember that too,
with
yeah.
no branches. Well, our older brother Greg, who,
Which I remember watching in high school play.
yeah, well, I mean, I'll probably mention him later on because that's pretty much where we got our hunger for basketball. But he had put that goal up on that tree when he was in high school, and so it was still left over there from when he had gotten out of school. So then we reattached it so that it wouldn't fall off of there, and that's pretty much.
Did
where
he
we
graduate in what,
practiced.
82, 83, 80,
81.
81, somewhere in there?
Yeah.
That's my first, and I don't know if he and Dave Bauer were about the same age, or Dave was a little
Dave
older.
a little older.
But that's my first memories of watching New Haven, was that age group there. I can remember Dave just a little bit, but I can distinctly remember Greg when he played. So
it was Greg and Mike Shear
Yeah.
and Randy Sider,
yeah.
Tim Shear,
Brad
Brad Strobel,
Yeah.
those guys, and I don't know how many people remember that, but they were the team that lost to Wellsville when Wellsville went on their run when Roundtree was
Yeah.
there, and they played them in the district final here when Gray was a junior, wasn't it? Or was that his senior
I think
year?
it might have been his senior year when they played.
But they ended up losing by
4.
yeah. But at the very beginning of the game, they came out and did rim touches, which was common back then. But before the game even started, I remember there were technicals called on them for grabbing the rim
On New Haven or Wellsville?
on New Haven.
Okay.
And so they were already down by the time the game started because Wellsville started off getting, I don't know how many free throws at the very beginning of the game.
Yeah.
So that game ended up being really close. And I mean, who knows what would have happened if New Haven would have upset Wellsville in that game.
Yeah.
But,
So
but then Wellsville went on that stretch of
through
what was
about
it, like
9 to
eight.
89, no, 88.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there last year. They had Ganaway and no, Ganaway was Thomas still there?
Keith Thomas. I remember I played in my junior year. I played in the district championship against Wellsville. I think Keith Thomas was still there, and was Ganaway the big center? they had?
Ganaway, Grossman
Grossman.
was the white kid.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it'd be, but I remember him being
He was
the biggest
yeah.
one on the team.
Yeah,
then,
he
so.
was big. Yeah.
So, kind of talked about, and again, I'm eating these nice sweet bologna snack sticks with jalapenos. They're awesome, Schneider Farms. Did you, when you're sitting back, because we're building up to our team here,
Yeah.
did you remember ever going down there and playing with Greg? Or did Greg just say, hey, we're going to go attach this so you guys have somewhere to shoot?
Well, no, he had it set up so he could use it. I know he shot on it a lot, and he shot so much back there. The ground was just hard dirt, and it almost looked like a court with no lines
Yeah, there's no grass on
because
it.
he wore all the grass off of it from shooting. And our brother Jeff, who's 6 years older than us, he would shoot on there sometimes too. So they kind of used it for themselves. We were 8 years younger than Greg. So as younger guys, we didn't go out and shoot with them much. We would see them go on out there to shoot on their own, but
Yeah, it wasn't
he
until
left
we
it.
got
Once
a
he
little older.
graduated, he just kind of left it there. We used it as we started getting older.
Do I remember correctly? And did the Claude have one on his driveway too?
Yeah,
Did he build a little ramp or something where we could jump off there so we can dunk it? Is my memory correct?
I don't remember if I do remember he rode his bike a lot.
Yeah.
He was into BMX
Yeah.
bike. So he may have had a ramp for his bike that we used.
Well, see, I mean, we're going to build into this, but Claude's brother Vic was a very good basketball
Yeah,
player that
yeah.
graduated in '85, I believe, was.
Yeah, he was around our
Yeah.
brother Jeff's age.
So yeah, that whole era when we were growing up, and I can remember rim touches. I can remember it being that, and you guys were out there too at the end of the games. You would try to under the basket we're in now, we're under the north-facing rim. We would try to jump up and touch it under the net and the backboard and so and so. So
Yeah.
for those that started here, we didn't have all the club ball and all this.
Right.
So when we're talking about we didn't have access to the gym then, but we also didn't have that era of watching really, really good teams that kind of drove us. We got to get in there. I'm not saying they were not good, but it wasn't like the thoroughly dominant. I remember watching them, although we do remember it. So
Yeah.
as I move up to Miller Street, you guys are still down on Kemp, and you guys at the time were big friends. And I was probably somewhat friends with him, but not like you guys. Kyle Shear and Matt Pyrick. So Tim and Derek and I were talking about when did we kind of really start hanging around each other, because even though we were somewhat neighbors down below, it wasn't like we did a lot, because you did it with your class and I generally did stuff with the guys below me, like Jason Peakey and those guys.
Yeah.
So I moved up to Miller, and I remember you guys you'd come up every once in a while. We'd play a lot of Nerf football in between Mrs. Murphy's house and the Pirates.
Yeah.
We also played baseball there because I remember running around the somewhat baseball deal. But
Yeah.
Matt ended up having a basketball goal there too, eventually, and that's the one that I probably was the first time I could dunk on it, because it was probably 9.5 or something.
Yeah.
It was a little bit lower, but he had a light that he would bring out there and attach to the handrail, if you remember that. Maybe
Yeah.
not. And we would play out there forever. And in my house, we had the street light. And I remember you guys coming up there, and the Kyle and them would shovel. For the young kids, we would shovel snow off the driveways to play basketball. And I remember playing in basketball with gloves on
Yeah.
because we loved it so much. Now, as we're building up, did you guys come up to the Assumption much when we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was another thing we had. Obviously, Mom, or do you guys have to walk, or did Mom drop you off? You
She'd
remember?
probably drive us up there. And
We'd
Either that
play.
or we'd ride our bikes up there.
Yeah, we'd play on Sundays after church. Usually on Sundays, sometimes
Yeah, it
probably
was
Saturdays. But
Sundays.
so building up how much we played, and as I talked to Dwayne, I think we were as good as we were because we grew up together, and we kind of knew from playing alongside each other where we were going to be on the court before we kind of even got up almost on organized basketball.
Yeah.
Do you guys agree, or
Oh,
or we
definitely.
knew our personalities, like, hey, this is what?
Yeah, and I talking to you earlier about when we actually started hanging out together. I still remember Kyle Shear's brother got us together when we were 5th graders
I think so. Yeah.
and took us over to East Central to play in some tournament or some kind of league. And that was really the first time we had played organized basketball. And thinking about that over the last couple weeks, when I knew I was going to be talking with you, I remember thinking, where was Krefmeyer at during that time? Because I guess it was just us 5th graders that went.
Could have been. I don't remember going there.
Yeah, I know you weren't there with us. And then I don't know that it could have been 5th or 6th grade, because we didn't play school ball as 6th graders.
No.
We always played. They had tournaments in Herman,
Yeah.
the 5th and 6th grade, and I don't know if remember if there were any other ones back then. But I
don't
do remember
playing
distinctly
much.
remember playing that, and I remember playing with jeans on because we didn't really wear shorts.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong with my what I can remember, but
That very well could be.
so I think we hung out, but we played Corey League ball like we talked about earlier. 1 year alternate, yeah, we were together, then we weren't, then we were, then we weren't.
Yeah.
But I think it was towards the junior high when we actually started playing basketball together, which
Yeah.
I will tell you, and Coach Derek Bailey, which is again wearing the gray sweatshirt, may you agree or disagree, but this is my thought.
All right.
Although Dale Helling did not play basketball, he taught us stuff that I can still, he was so fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
And stuff that I still, if I would teach today, I can remember him teaching us down at the elementary school, just how to play help defense, how to position yourself. And I don't ever, now did we run? I remember he used to run with us every once in a while, sprints, rarely.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever really yelled at us either. And the three of us were talking today that we were not very good in junior high. So it wasn't like these groups of kids like Dwayne Cretley talked about that they were good from 5th grade on. I don't know how many we won when you guys were in 8th grade, but I distinctly remember maybe 2 or 3 wins a year. That was it. Maybe a little more.
If that.
Yeah, I was trying to remember the other day. It seemed like we maybe won no more than 3 games our 7th grade year, and then the next year we may have won a couple more than that. It seems like it was like 3 or 4 games that we won. But I mean, we would get beat by a lot. I mean, by most teams. I mean, most teams were bigger than us, and we would just struggle to compete with them. But
and there is someone in the building, so I hope they're not going to interrupt us here. But if they do, it's par for the course because I always get interrupted by someone during an interview. But I think that a lot of our problems now, let's looking back, and we're going to build up to this, but we're giving you some history how we got there. So you had you two, Kyle Shear, Matt Pyrick. Was Tony Barber there at that time, or I'm trying to, because I think that one of the reasons we got lost so much is we only had probably just about enough to have the starting 5. I mean, each. I mean, when I got in 8th grade, 7th grade would move up, but it was kind of like, okay, we're gonna have 7, maybe 8 players total, and nothing against the ones that played, but 3 or 4 of them weren't very good.
Yeah, didn't really care about basketball like we did.
So.
Yeah, we never played with more than 6 or 7 guys.
I still remember one of those years, it was probably 7th grade, when Dale was coaching us. You said he never really yelled at us. I do remember one time he got upset because you had us running, and he got bothered by how noisy it sounded when our team was running, and he picked either both of us or one of us out as an example.
How to run?
Yeah, and said it made us run up and down the court, and said, "Listen how quiet it is when they run." He said, "Stop like slapping your feet on the floor when you run up and down the court." But I do remember he taught us the fundamentals and the basics of basketball, and I mean, as our first coach, I mean, he kind of laid the groundwork for us becoming good all-around players.
Yeah.
And that's what I said when I interviewed Dwayne Cretley. And Dwayne likes hearing his name, so I'm just going to keep bringing it up because he really, Coach Mankey and Coach Steinoff, obviously they tweaked some stuff with us along the way. But I know Coach Derek Bailey probably got some players when he was the JV and freshman coach, probably thinking, God, did these guys learn anything as far as fundamentals? But with that being said about Coach Helling, and that's Dale Helling, that they didn't really have to teach us how to dribble, how to help, how to do to box out, how to do a lot of stuff, because he taught that, and he taught the right way going forward. So it probably like, thank God, let's keep him in there. I don't know how long he actually coached.
I don't think it was very long. It was almost like he did his thing with our groups and then moved on. I don't remember who coached middle school after we got out of there, but I don't remember it being him. It seems like somebody else came along.
Yeah, so.
And I will say about him too, having been a coach over several years now, knowing that it's not just about being able to run plays and teaching guys skills, he was really good about, as we said, we were really undersized and not skilled at that time yet. But he seemed to have a belief that we could get to a point where we would be good. And he kind of set that fire that you guys can be as good as you want to be if you work at it.
Yeah.
Which is a great coaching aspect to
Yeah.
have.
I wonder, I brought up how Coach Nyer, I can remember him, he was prior to Steinoff, how he'd have the Saturday clinics. And I don't know if they still have this. They have them up in Herman again, which is good.
Yeah.
How, obviously most of us were small. I was probably bigger than average. But I wonder if those two, obviously I don't think Nyer probably looked because he probably didn't see, maybe would have stayed longer if he saw what was coming down the pipe, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
But if those two, when they were, they have some ability there. The Baileys are quick. You got Kyle. Kent's going to be fairly big. Who knows what we have? I often wonder if they saw potential. Honestly, I don't know. I think Coach Mankey probably did, but I think we may, the 89 year, which we're going to address, I think maybe surprised Coach Steinoff.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Because obviously it was a different style of play, and we'll address that too. We're at 20 minutes, so we're going to probably wind this portion of it down, but it's just, I don't think in junior high that, honestly, looking back, that I thought we were going to be very good going forward. Just because of, like you said, we were getting destroyed by these other schools, and I don't know once we got in high school, which we're going to address after the break, you guys are sophomores, I was a freshman, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't know if we improved that much, and I don't know how much you guys did. I know Derek, Coach Bailey, Derek, a lot of people are going to remember you as coach. Went to the Norm Stewart basketball camp, and Tim was like a genius. He went to Scholars Academy, so he's going to downplay this stuff. But did you not want to go with us? Or, obviously finances are probably limited.
Was it at the same time?
It was the exact
It was the same time?
So
Okay.
I got accepted to go to that, which was slightly disappointing to me because I was looking forward to going to that basketball camp too. But I couldn't pass up on that. It was a three-week academy, so there was no way I could go to both. Yeah. So I went there and stayed there for 3 weeks, knowing that you guys were at basketball camp.
Eating Frosted Flakes in the morning, hanging out with MU players.
Cold milk.
One thing I will say though, while I was at that academy, we stayed in the dorm rooms. So we stayed and had floor groups. So those were the guys that I hung out with during that 3 weeks. There was at least 4 or 5 guys on that floor that really liked basketball, and we spent almost as much free time as we could playing basketball. And they had 3-on-3 tournaments, and a lot of us got into that. So I was actually playing a lot of ball while I was at that academy.
So I'm trying to think here. Obviously, it wasn't when we were. What were you going to be going in your sophomore year or
My junior year?
It
was between sophomore and junior.
We were that old when you and I went to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a sophomore and you were a freshman.
1980.
Okay, we have some minutes actually left before it gets around 30 minutes. So let's just cover, because I'm going to try to keep these as low as we can get down to. Again, we're covering the 89 Running Rocks team. A lot of people love watching them. I know a lot of people like Keith Davis. Some other players in the 90s eras when they won state said, we remember, Robert Brown said, we remember watching you guys. That was our first, kind of like we talked about Greg and company. So let's just talk about a little bit, we're in 24 minutes, so let's just talk about a little bit of our JV experience so we get that done. I don't remember exactly. If I would have got my other scrapbook, I probably could have got more of this stuff. But from what I remember from junior high, were you guys very good? Or did you You guys probably didn't even play much on JV as a freshman, right? Because
No,
there's so many
not
sophomores.
Not at all.
You
Not
just
at
played
all.
your freshman schedule.
Yeah.
Were you guys was it better then than junior high?
We were
think
7-4
that's what
our
I
freshman year.
Okay, so you obviously had
So we
addition
brought,
of Mark,
Yeah.
and you guys were all,
So it was Kyle and Matt and me and Derek and Mark, and then
Tony Barber played.
yeah.
Joel and Jerry Pennell, was he on
I
there?
think
Jerry
he still
Pennell
played
still
that
played.
year.
Okay.
And
then-
Alan.
And then, and then
Alan joined us.
Alan
Alan
was
Borchity.
a
our freshman
freshman. I don't remember if anyone else from out at R2 played that year. I mean, because I know they had a team when they were out there
Yeah.
in 8th grade.
Brett Malone had played out at
Yeah.
R2, but I don't think he played his freshman
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. So we didn't have a whole lot of players on the team that I remember, but I think we did end up going 7-4. So there was a little bit of jump in improvement
Yeah.
that year. I mean, I think we even had a chance, like conference wise. It seems, if I remember right, we lost to Sullivan up here
Yeah.
our last game of the season, and we could have tied them for the conference.
Yeah, I
lead
think that was
year.
our second loss. And Sullivan wound up only having one loss.
Yeah, if I remember right. And unless I'm mixing that up with our JV year.
No, JV, we won both. So you guys are freshmen, I come up, you guys are sophomores. Obviously, we had some more to the puzzle. From I can remember, we had Eric Steinbeck, Paul Lowney, me, Jason Wood was not there.
No. Detroit.
John Otten maybe.
Yeah, John played.
John played. Troy did not play. So that was probably about it.
What about Matt Helling? You remember him?
I don't think Matt played in high school.
Can't remember if he played.
I don't remember him playing. But anyway, we turned out being pretty good, and if I can remember, we throttled some people, and we were getting up and down the court then already. That's why the Running Rocks is starting to build up here.
Yeah.
So without our thing, I think we lost 2 or 3 games.
I think 3.
I think we lost 3, and then we lost 2 in my sophomore years. I think that's how it was. And you said it was 18-3.
I think so.
So I don't remember. Do you guys remember who we lost to or the conference? I mean, obviously it's not the focus of
Did
this
we lose
video,
to
but
Borgia?
Yeah, we played Borgia in a tournament, I think.
And they were huge.
Yeah.
I remember that.
They had
Was-
the DeMarquart.
Yeah, Blake.
Yeah.
Blake, and then there was
Phil.
another.
Phil, yeah.
Yeah. And then Aaron.
Aaron Markle
Yeah.
was on there too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they were a good team
Yeah.
back then. I'm pretty sure we lost to them.
I
Didn't
think
we
we
lose?
lost to Sullivan that year also,
Possibly.
our sophomore year.
Was that down in Sullivan? No, yeah, it had to
yeah,
be because
well, it
when
had-
you guys
yeah,
were seniors, we played down there.
Yeah.
And then we probably played. Did we lose to Herman that year? Or
Sophomore year.
like
I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
because I remember playing in one tournament that we won.
Well, that was the year we won the St. James tournament, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time we had beat most of the conference teams. Well, not most of them, but
I don't even remember going down
Yeah,
there.
and I don't know why.
I don't remember going to play in St.
Well, the
James.
reason I remember that is because we played St. James. Was it for the championship?
No, that was
That was a semifinal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Played St. James, and we had talked about them, how good they had been playing since middle school, and supposedly they had lost a game like through middle school and their freshman year, and we played, and they were really tough. That was the game. I got fouled early in the game and got frustrated and fouled one of their players and forced him out of bounds. You know, people will say I threw him out of bounds, but I did not. I forced him out of bounds, but the ref ejected me in the game.
Was
early
that the
in
Sullivan
game.
tournament, or where was that?
Was it at Sullivan?
I think I remember
Yeah,
now it was in Sullivan.
It was
Yeah,
at Sullivan.
I remember
Yeah,
it
we
now.
were playing St. James, but
Yeah.
it was at Sullivan tournament. So I sat out most of that game, and we wound up beating them. And then we won the championship.
I think we may have played like Union in the championship, and we wound up winning that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and you were still out. Did you?
I don't know if I set out that next
No.
game. I know I set out a game at home. So, but yeah,
That was when I think we started realizing we could beat most of the teams around this area, and we finished that season. You know, we won the conferences as the JV team, so I think that was when we first started realizing, you know, that at least the area competition, we were at that level already. So.
Yeah. So let me touch on this here. So 30 minutes now. We'll talk about the '88 season on the when we come back here. But we get in the '88 season. They moved up, obviously juniors and varsity. I was a sophomore, and I think we probably destroyed teams worse that year, because I was at the point where the coach would move me up every once in a while, and I would start and play like the first quarter. And it wasn't always on me. I'm not doing this to brag, but we would have a humongous lead, and then I'd set out, and then I'd go back in the third, and we would build up the lead, and I'll set out, and if I needed to be in the fourth or not. But I think we only lost 2 games there. So by then I was thinking, the group ahead of me is going to be good. We were good. We're going to get better and better and better. So we'll talk about the '88 team. It's kind of like, once we get them out of the way, that class, who knows what we could do. And that's what we're going to actually touch on, is the '89 years. So we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back, and we're going to cover the '88 varsity just a touch. And then we're going to get into the season, and we're going to talk about the games up until Christmas break. And then we'll take another break, and then we'll do the final stretch. And I've made a lot of notes, so the people that did watch us are I guess not all of our spouses, some spouses that were around or people are going to watch it and probably say, yeah, I remember that. So let's take a break.